In Southeast Ohio, we live in a beautiful region, rich with history, culture, and vibrant communities. But as health and mental wellness needs soar upward, we are facing both familiar and new challenges for these communities.
I was in my early 20s when I first went to a therapist, but I knew something was not right. I didn't feel right. But then I never addressed my trauma that I went through. I got through it, but I didn't get through it healthy.
I experienced trauma through childhood and then into my teenage years, and it impacted almost every aspect of my life, my relationship with everyone, my friends, family.
Trauma is a big word. Trauma-informed care is a framework, and that framework supports people who are experiencing trauma.
We're really asking the question, what happened to you, as opposed to what's wrong with you.
It's saying to that person, I see you, I understand you.
People are more than just their symptoms, that they come from a history and that they have a lot of a story to tell.
It built me up to be able to do it in my life, and I feel like that has not only helped me, but helped my husband, helped my kids, helped my friends, because I don't just push things under the rug anymore. I face them when they happen and take them as they are, and I'm not scared of it.
There's no comparison between the old ways of doing business and doing it the way they do now. There just isn't, because I'm living proof of the difference that it can make.
Angela's at.
I saw her in the elevator.
That's where I saw her.
I saw your daughter said the same thing.
Well, it was pretty shuffled, I think, already. I put them in the box. I just
tried
messed
to
up the
do-
piles, but
Yeah, I try to do them ahead of time. Yeah, who's turn is it? It's your turn first. You're younger.
oh, you got a discard.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I'm used to it by now.
This could take us a long time. Time with my daughter, having an adult daughter, that we enjoy a lot of time together, playing card games and going to the parks and sightseeing together. I love photography, and I'm really quite quiet when I'm at home, so I'm kind of an introvert. I look like an extrovert on the outside, but the inside I'm an introvert.
I just like kind of different people. I like taking pictures for different reasons.
I was called Yo-Yo by my mom. She called me a little yo-yo. My life was so chaotic. Like I said, my life would be real good and then it'd be really bad. And I think I just adapted to the environment. In my childhood, there was a lot of domestic violence. My father was an alcoholic, and he held a job, was a good dad, real good dad when he was sober, but when he drank, he was a totally different person. So from a young person up to age 13, that's the sort of thing I dealt with. A wonderful life the vast majority of the time, and then there was the ugly stuff that came with life. I was in my early 20s when I first went to a therapist. It was early on in life, you know, I was an adult, but I knew something was not right. I didn't feel right, and yet I would go to them, and old adage that they used to do is you're anal retentive. But then I never addressed my trauma that I went through. Oh, you've lived through that, you're fine, you know, you've got a job, you've got a family, instead of looking at it more openly and seeing that what I went through, I got through it, but I didn't get through it healthy.
This is the look on my face of like, I'm taking you to the casino playing Skip-Bo. She won. Yeah, I'm not meant to win, but I'm a good loser. I enjoy just playing.
Trauma is a big word, right? And it means different things to different people. And what might be traumatic to me may not be traumatic to someone else, based in part on the person's own experiences, their own genetic makeup. So trauma has a lasting impact on people, but trauma itself is really unique to the individual.
Everyone experiences trauma. We sometimes like to deny it. We sometimes like to pretend like we don't. But everyone does. At some point in their life, there is something that has happened that is traumatic.
Ohio statistics say that 65% or 2/3 of our population have experienced at least one traumatic event. So that's also known as an adverse childhood experience prior to the age of 18. So that can be abuse or neglect. It can be incarceration of a loved one, but about 2/3 of the state have experienced at least one of those things.
That's why we have to be so careful and aware of how trauma is so pervasive in our communities with the individuals and the families that we deal with.
I first learned about trauma-informed care when the Ohio Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services arranged to have SAMHSA come and train all of their psychiatric hospital staff. It was really shocking to me in both its simplicity and some of the data shared was really shocking to me. And I knew it was something that all of us in the helping professions needed to pay attention to, needed to learn how to do better, and how to implement.
What makes trauma-informed care different than standard care is that it's really about the whole person. We're really asking the question, what happened to you, as opposed to what's wrong with you. So we're going to look at you as the individual as opposed to you as someone who has bipolar disorder or who is struggling with addiction. We're looking at you, not your disease.
There are 6 pillars to trauma-informed care, and they include safety, transparency, collaboration, peer support, diversity and inclusion, as well as empowerment, voice, and choice.
It's not like another therapy approach like cognitive behavioral therapy, and you go to the training and then you complete it and you come back and you provide cognitive behavioral therapy for your clients. So trauma-informed care is really the framework under which you do everything else within your system.
Once upon a time, you would see a physician or a nurse and they were the experts. That's the medical model. Trauma-informed care is about the person receiving the services and the professional sitting at the same table, coming up with a plan that they have input into, and they're the expert. It's their plan of care.
It's saying to that person, I see you, I understand you, and these areas are important to you, and we want to start there to make sure that we put you on the best path for success.
You're all from school. I was wondering. I got a little bit of a smile there. Oh, what? You wear these sunglasses, young lady?
She said that they're going to start posting jobs here in like the next week.
Oh, okay.
And then that's when I'll apply and hopefully get an interview. Yes, I experienced trauma in my childhood and then in my teenage years. And even after using drugs and being an addict, I still didn't realize how much that it actually affected me. I think it impacted almost every aspect of my life. My relationship with everyone, my friends, family, still impacts my relationship with my family and how I parent, my marriage.
I really hope this position comes through for you and you get to use all your skills and experience.
Especially since there's kids, I'm so excited. Like I don't have nearly as much anxiety working with like teenagers as I would adults. But it's adults. Trauma-informed care is different because it's not just a coping skill for the feeling. It helps you learn the root cause of why you're feeling like you're feeling, and then it's easier to find better ways to cope with it. And I don't think that I would have been able to get clean if I didn't know the underlying causes of my thoughts and feelings. It became like normal after that, and made it so much easier to talk about trauma. It made it so much easier for me to just go through life, and when I have an issue, when I have a problem, just taking it head on, not being scared to face hard things that happen in life, because I don't just push things under the rug anymore. I face them when they happen and take them as they are, and I'm not scared of it. And like we were having like a heart to heart, and she's like, I always wanted to be, and you're going to laugh, a hip hop dancer. I was like, yeah, I'm laughing. I'm laughing. But I feel it now. I'm like, I too would love to be a hip hop dancer, but I have no rhythm.
So yeah, there's a lot of grace these days when it comes to that stuff.
How has the pandemic affected services, the needs? Is that going to continue? You know, what has been the impact of the pandemic so far? What do we know going into the near future about that impact? And then what are some emerging trends?
I think trauma-informed care isn't practiced as much as it should be, just because we're having that cultural shift. Trauma doesn't mean weakness. It means we had an incident or we had an issue. Once that happens a little more fully, I think we'll be in a better place.
And that's where the challenge is, because it takes time for systems to change and time for systems to, really develop a new approach to providing services.
You have to have people dedicated to the concept, who's willing to give the time that's needed to develop policies and procedures that the organizations follow, and stay true to the commitment.
To be fully trauma-informed when you're dealing with someone, you have to spend time with them. You have to build relationships. You have to invest in them. The way our billing systems are set up, you can't do that. They want you in 15 minutes out the door. 15 minutes isn't enough time for you to understand what my trauma is.
That takes some changing. That takes some finances behind it. It takes effort, it takes work. And we're certainly in Ohio moving in the right direction, but we also have a long way to go.
Oh, that's how
They did it
roll.
looking for them, but now we won't let her leave. It's like,
It seems like that happens in a lot of the jobs in this kind of field. It's like, once you're there, no leaving.
CTIC is the Southeast Trauma-Informed Care Collaborative, and our mission is to grow more trauma-informed organizations and communities within our region.
CTIC's mission is to embed trauma-informed practices in organizations because they realize the impact that trauma has had on individuals and communities throughout Southeast Ohio.
What it is a eclectic blend of folks from the professional field, peers like myself, and the community. And we're working together instead of separating between the desks. I always used to say they're on their side of the desk and I'm on my side of the desk. It's not that way. We all sit at the same table.
Groups within our region will identify a trauma-informed approach that they endorse, some need that they have that they need help bringing to life.
Trauma-informed care really does require advocacy because it's a change, and we know that change takes time, and it's hard for people to change out of other models that they've been used to over time. So it takes an understanding of what trauma-informed care is, looking at the 6 guiding principles, and then really looking at your system and saying, how do we do the work that we do?
If I'm dealing with the school, I'm in a trauma-informed care environment. They're taking care of me. If I'm dealing with my doctor for a health issue, he's asking me what's happened so that we can look at the physical ramifications of my trauma. If I'm dealing with my counselor is treating me as a person, not my disease. So in my perfect world, trauma-informed care is the standard, it's not the exception.
And so there's still a lot of room in our communities to get better at really understanding the impact of trauma, what that means for individuals, and how to best serve people who have a trauma history.
It really helps me because I used to live in the past. The photography's given me an opportunity to live in the present. And so, for trauma, it stays with you. I don't think I'll ever get rid of the trauma. It will always be a part of me. But the fact that I can move forward and the photography enlightens me to be able to move forward instead of laying in the past. So, it really has helped.
And you just go through the motions like 6 or 7 times.
Like a loveless marriage. Been there, done that. Okay, I'm ready to shoot now. And so trauma-informed care of them saying what has happened to you has been far more productive than what's wrong with you. And so when I was able to speak out about my trauma, it empowered me because it no longer was hiding behind that shield. It was out front for the world to see.
Outside of all that, I never felt that before. So that was the first time that I felt in a safe place to really talk about all those things, and having somebody there who, I don't know, just helped me through it, helped me get through it, helped me understand what I was going through. I try to ease my mind, but the ease turns into guilt, then the guilt turns into anxiety. Now I sit here with this part of me that I don't remember making. I sit here with her and I ask her, what do you need? Why are you hurting and what do you long for? She answers me, peace. To not hear the screams in a silent room, to not feel every fiber of hair touching my skin at once, to be able to breathe. I've prayed, I've begged, I've gotten drunk to numb the pain, I've gotten high, had sex, and none of it fixed this. Part of me sticks up for her. I like that part, the strong part that doesn't give a damn. This part, the part that accepts every piece of me, the good and the bad, the unsure, the worried and the anxious. All these flaws and mistakes, all my anxiety, all my worry and regrets, they all made up these parts of me. And it was her who carried us through, who believed in me, who motivated me, who showed me what I can do. Although she can never fix me, I hope someday I can see her more often, that she will carry me through more hard times, that someday the bad days will show up and she will be there to make it go away.